The skies over Ukraine tell a scary story. It's not just fighter jets and helicopters anymore. Now, there's a new kind of weapon in the air: drones. Russia's drones are everywhere, attacking Ukrainian cities and soldiers. They're like something out of a nightmare, flying silently and striking without warning. What started with a few hundred drone attacks each month has exploded into thousands. This isn't random. It's a deliberate plan to destroy Ukraine's power, make its people afraid, and help Russia win the war. But this isn't a sign of strength. It's a sign that Russia is desperate. Their soldiers are losing, and their attacks are failing, so they're using drones to do what their army can't. These drones have become a symbol of Russia's cruel and brutal way of fighting this war.
Far away from the fighting in Ukraine, deep inside Russia, lies a region that has become crucial to the ongoing conflict. This area, often overlooked and shrouded in mystery, is home to a significant development in modern warfare. Here, an industrial factory has emerged as a pivotal player in the war effort. This isn't just any factory. It's a facility that has taken on a new, more sinister role in recent times. Located within the Alabuga Special Economic Zone, this factory was initially intended to be a hub for international cooperation and economic growth. The zone was designed to attract foreign investment and foster collaboration between nations. The vision for Alabuga was one of unity and progress, where countries could come together to innovate and build a better future. However, the reality has taken a stark turn. Instead of fostering international partnerships, the factory is now dedicated to producing weapons for Russia. The assembly lines that were once meant for civilian products are now churning out military equipment. The Alabuga factory operates under a veil of secrecy. Security is tight, and access is highly restricted. This level of confidentiality indicates the sensitive nature of the work being done here. Our only glimpses into the factory come from satellite images. These images reveal a sprawling complex that is constantly expanding. The construction activity is relentless, suggesting a significant ramp-up in production capacity. The annotated satellite images highlight the increased security measures and the rapid pace of construction. This expansion is not just about increasing output, it's also about making the facility more resilient to potential attacks. The enhancements in security and infrastructure indicate a long-term commitment to this operation. The factory is being fortified to ensure its continued operation, regardless of external threats. Inside the factory, thousands of workers labor around the clock. These workers, clad in protective gear, are part of a massive effort to produce the weapons that are being used in the conflict. The primary focus of their work is the production of military drones. These drones are a key component of Russia's strategy in the war, providing a significant tactical advantage. One of the main drones being assembled here is the Shahed 136. This drone, originally from Iran, has been rebranded and modified for use by Russian forces. Known for its lethality and precision, the Shahed 136 has become a formidable weapon in the conflict. Its presence in the skies over Ukraine is a constant reminder of the ongoing hostilities. In Russia, this drone is referred to as the Geran 2. The rebranding is part of a broader strategy to integrate and domesticate foreign technology for Russian military use. The Geran 2 is a persistent threat in Ukrainian airspace. Its deployment has had a significant impact on the dynamics of the conflict, challenging Ukrainian defenses and complicating their strategic planning. But the Alabuga factory's role goes beyond mere assembly. The facility is increasingly focused on developing the capability to build these drones from scratch. This shift represents a major step towards self-sufficiency in military production. By mastering the entire production process, from design to final assembly, Russia aims to reduce its dependence on foreign suppliers. This independence is crucial for sustaining long-term military operations. The Made in Russia label on these drones symbolizes a significant achievement for the Alabuga factory. It marks a new era of domestic military production with far-reaching implications for the conflict and beyond. The Shahed 136 isn't a fancy weapon, but that's what makes it so dangerous. Unlike high-tech drones that require sophisticated technology and extensive training to operate, the Shahed 136 is relatively simple and cost-effective. This simplicity allows it to be produced in large numbers and deployed with minimal effort, making it a formidable tool in modern warfare. It's basically a flying bomb, full of explosives and controlled by a simple computer. The drone's internal components are rudimentary yet effective. It doesn't need advanced navigation systems or complex algorithms to find its target. Instead, it relies on basic GPS coordinates and a straightforward flight path, which makes it harder to detect and intercept. It can stay in the air for hours, waiting for the right moment to attack. This endurance allows it to loiter over potential targets, gathering intelligence, and choosing the most opportune time to strike. The drone's ability to hover and surveil makes it a persistent threat, capable of launching surprise attacks with devastating precision. And when it attacks, it causes massive damage. The explosive payload is designed to maximize destruction, targeting critical infrastructure and densely populated areas. The aftermath of a drone strike is often catastrophic, leaving behind a trail of rubble and chaos. These drones have been used to hit all sorts of important places in Ukraine, like power plants, army bases, and even regular buildings where people live. The strategic targeting of these sites aims to cripple essential services and sow fear among the civilian population. Power outages, disrupted communications, and damaged homes are just some of the consequences faced by those in the affected areas. The attacks often come in large groups, too many for Ukraine to stop, and they leave a path of destruction wherever they go. Swarming tactics overwhelm defense systems, making it nearly impossible to intercept every incoming drone. This relentless barrage not only causes physical damage, but also wears down the morale of those trying to defend their homeland. But the worst part might be the fear these drones create. The psychological impact of knowing that an attack could happen at any moment is profound. People live in a constant state of anxiety, always on edge, and this fear can be as debilitating as the physical destruction caused by the drones. Just knowing they could be overhead at any moment makes life terrifying for millions of Ukrainians. Families are forced to take shelter in basements, schools are disrupted, and daily routines are upended. The ever-present threat of a drone strike looms large, casting a shadow over every aspect of life. The sound of their engines used to be something no one noticed, but now it's a constant reminder of danger. The distinctive hum of a drone overhead sends people scrambling for cover, a stark reminder of the peril that lurks above. This auditory cue has become synonymous with fear and uncertainty, altering the soundscape of everyday life in Ukraine. As the war goes on, Russia keeps changing its tactics. The battlefield is constantly evolving, and both sides are trying to outsmart each other with new strategies and technologies. One of the most significant changes has been in the use of drones, which have become a crucial part of modern warfare. These unmanned aerial vehicles are used for surveillance, reconnaissance, and even direct attacks. But as Ukraine has become more adept at countering these threats, Russia has had to adapt its approach. They've realized that Ukraine is getting better at shooting down their drones, so they've come up with a new plan tricking Ukraine. This new strategy involves using decoy drones to confuse and overwhelm Ukraine's air defense systems. By doing so, they hope to deplete Ukraine's resources and make it easier for their more dangerous drones to get through. It's a clever tactic that shows just how important drones have become in this conflict. And the weapon they're using is called the Gerbera drone. This drone is specifically designed to look like a more dangerous model, but it's actually much simpler and cheaper to produce. The Gerbera drone is part of a broader strategy to use deception and misdirection to gain an advantage on the battlefield. The Gerbera is a simple, cheap drone made of wood and foam. These materials make it lightweight and easy to manufacture in large quantities. The simplicity of its design means that it can be produced quickly and at a low cost, allowing Russia to deploy them in large numbers without a significant financial burden. This mass production capability is a key part of their strategy. It's basically a fake version of the more dangerous Shahed 136 drone. The Shahed 136 is a more advanced and lethal drone, capable of carrying explosives and causing significant damage. By creating a decoy that looks similar, Russia aims to confuse Ukrainian forces and make it harder for them to distinguish between real threats and harmless decoys. It looks like a Shahed 136 because of its triangular shape, but it doesn't carry any explosives. This visual similarity is crucial for the deception to work. When Ukrainian forces see a Gerbera drone, they have to treat it as a potential threat, even though it poses no real danger. This forces them to use their valuable resources to neutralize a harmless target. Its job is to confuse Ukraine's defenses. By flooding the battlefield with these decoy drones, Russia hopes to create chaos and uncertainty. The more time and effort Ukraine spends dealing with Gerbera drones, the less they have to counter the real threats. This tactic is all about creating a diversion and stretching Ukraine's defenses to their limits. See, Ukraine has to use expensive missiles to shoot down these drones. These missiles are not only costly, but also limited in supply. Every missile used on a Gerbera drone is one less missile available to counter a real threat. This is a war of attrition, and every wasted missile brings Russia closer to achieving their objectives. If they shoot down a Shahed 136, that's a win, even though it costs them a lot. Successfully intercepting a Shahed 136 means neutralizing a significant threat, but it comes at a high price. The cost of these missiles adds up quickly, and Ukraine has to carefully consider how to allocate their resources. But if they use that same expensive missile on a Gerbera, it's a waste. This is exactly what Russia is counting on. By making Ukraine waste their expensive missiles on cheap decoys, they hope to weaken Ukraine's overall defensive capabilities. It's a strategy that relies on economic pressure as much as military tactics. Russia is hoping that by sending lots of Gerberas, they can make Ukraine waste their missiles and money. This tactic of overwhelming the enemy with sheer numbers is a classic military strategy, but it's been adapted for the modern age with the use of drones. The Gerbera drone may be simple and cheap, but its impact on the battlefield can be significant. By forcing Ukraine to waste their resources, Russia aims to gain a strategic advantage and tip the balance of the conflict in their favor. The war in Ukraine has shown us how connected the world really is. Russia started this war, but they're not alone. China says it's not picking sides, but it's helping Russia a lot, especially with its drones. Chinese companies are selling Russia important parts for their drones, things like computer chips and navigation systems. These parts are ending up in the drones that are attacking Ukraine. But China isn't just selling parts, it's also sharing its knowledge about drones with Russia. There's evidence that China is even giving Russia the plans for entire drones. For example, the Gerbera drone is probably based on a Chinese design. Even though they're under constant attack, the Ukrainian people are incredibly strong and resourceful. They're doing everything they can to fight back against the drones. Ukraine is using a mix of old weapons from the Soviet era and newer ones given to them by other countries. They've shot down many of Russia's drones, but Russia keeps sending more, making it a huge challenge for Ukraine. They desperately need more weapons from other countries, especially anti-aircraft systems, to keep up with Russia. This war has changed the lives of every Ukrainian. People who never thought they'd fight are volunteering to help. They're using whatever they can find, from rifles to old machine guns, to protect their homes and their country. They stand guard day and night, ready to defend Ukraine from the drones. Just when you thought Russia's drone attacks couldn't get any worse, they started using a new, horrifying weapon, thermobaric bombs. These bombs are incredibly destructive and show that Russia is willing to do anything to make Ukrainians suffer. Thermobaric weapons, sometimes called vacuum bombs, are much more powerful than regular bombs. When they explode, they suck up all the oxygen in the area, creating a massive blast wave that can crush buildings and even vaporize human bodies. The use of these weapons in Ukraine has horrified the world, but Russia doesn't seem to care. Many people are worried that Russia will start using these bombs more and more, leading to even more deaths and destruction in Ukraine. The rest of the world is trying to stop Russia's drone attacks by using sanctions. Sanctions are like punishments that make it harder for a country to do business with the rest of the world. These sanctions are designed to stop Russia from making and using drones by targeting the people and companies involved, like the Alabuga factory and the companies that sell them parts. But Russia is finding ways to get around these sanctions. They're using secret companies and smuggling routes to get the parts and materials they need. And because China is helping Russia, it's even harder to stop them. The world needs to find a way to pressure China to stop helping Russia without causing even more problems. The war in Ukraine continues, and the skies above the country are still a battlefield. Russia is not backing down. They're still using drones, and they might even use more of them in the future. The Alabuga factory is still building drones, and the threat of thermobaric bombs remains. Ukraine's ability to defend itself depends on help from other countries. They need more advanced weapons, especially those that can shoot down drones, if they want to take back control of their skies. This war is changing how wars are fought. The use of drones in Ukraine is a scary sign of things to come. It shows us that wars in the future might be fought with more technology and fewer soldiers, and that it will be harder to protect innocent people.